Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world with me, Deepika, coming up in the next half an hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses nation on 130th episode of Mann Ki Baat, lauds contribution of India's startup in multiple sectors. EU leaders begin India visit to be chief guests at 77th Republic Day celebrations on the 26th of January. Leaders also to co-chair 16th India-EU Summit on 27th January. US storm leaves 230,000 without power, more than 4,000 flights cancelled. Snow, sleet, freezing rain, frigid temperatures predicted for much of the US. Heavy snow shrouds White House. Good evening to all the viewers joining us at this evening broadcast. To begin with the latest. Well, at India's invitation to European Council President Antonio Costa and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, they are here for a state visit from 25th till the 27th of January, underscoring the government's intent to elevate India-EU relationship as a core pillar of its global and European strategy. The two leaders will grace the Republic Day celebrations as the chief guests on the 26th of January. European Union leaders will hold summit talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi on 27th of January. At the summit, India and the European Union are set to announce the conclusion of the much-awaited free trade agreement. India and the European Union are close to sealing a historic free trade agreement. The two sides are already leading trading partners, and the FTA represents a win-win opportunity for both of them. Here's more.
We are on the cusp of a historic trade agreement. Indeed, some call it the mother of all deals. One that would create a market of 2 billion people, accounting for almost a quarter of global GDP.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, highlighting how the EU and India are on the verge of a historic free trade agreement. India and the European Union are in the final stages of negotiating an FTA that is expected to significantly boost India's exports and diversify its trade amid growing global protectionism. EU is India's largest goods trading partner, accounting for trade worth $136 billion in 2024-25. EU accounts for 17% of India's total exports. Exports to EU are worth $76 billion and imports from EU are worth $60 billion. India-EU FTA provides a win-win opportunity to both sides. India is among the world's fastest growing economies. Its 1.4 billion strong population offers EU a vast and expanding market, increasing exports of capital EU industries like aircraft, automobiles, electrical machinery, beverages and chemicals. India will gain access to a large stable market across 27 EU countries, boosting exports in sectors like pharmaceuticals, engineering goods, automotive components, electronics and others. India is also seeking more access for its professionals and export of IT services. Since FTA negotiations began in 2007, India and the EU are close to sealing the landmark deal. Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held wide-ranging talks with a US congressional delegation. The delegation was led by senior US lawmakers Mike Rogers and Adam Smith, Congressman from Florida, Jimmy Petronis, and US Ambassador to India. The talks covered the expanding India-US strategic partnership and cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region. The two sides also exchanged views on the Ukraine conflict. Discussions focused on strengthening India-US ties amid key global and regional developments. President Draupadi Murmu addressed the 16th National Voters' Day celebration in New Delhi. At the ceremony, the President presented Best Electoral Practices Awards in different categories, including effective use of technology, election management and logistics, innovative voter awareness, implementation and enforcement of Model Code of Conduct, training and capacity building, along with other special awards and awards for the media. President Draupadi Murmu highlighted the importance of voting, saying the voter identity card gives citizens the valuable right to take part in the world's largest and most vibrant democracy.
ये पहचान पत्र आपको विश्व के सबसे बड़े और जीवंत लोकतंत्र में सक्रिय भागीदारी का अमूल्य अधिकार प्रदान करता है। मुझे विश्वास है कि देश के सभी युवा मतदाता बहुत जिम्मेदारी के साथ अपने मताधिकार का प्रयोग करेंगे तथा राष्ट्र के निर्माण में अपनी भागीदारी निभाएंगे। आज मैं महिला मतदाताओं को भी विशेष बधाई देती हूं। विभिन्न चुनाव में भारी संख्या में मतदान करके हमारी माताएं, बहनें, बेटियां हमारे गणतंत्र को और अधिक शक्तिशाली बना रहे हैं।
The ceremony was addressed by Chief Election Commissioner Gyanesh Kumar. The Chief Election Commissioner said that Special Intensive Revision or SIR helps to ensure that no eligible voter is left out and no ineligible voter is included in the electoral roll.
विश्व के सभी लोकतंत्र मानते हैं कि शुद्ध मतदाता सूची सशक्त लोकतंत्र की आधारशिला है। संविधान और विधि के अनुरूप जो 18 वर्ष या उससे अधिक आयु का हो, जो किसी विधानसभा क्षेत्र में सामान्य रूप से निवास करता हो और जो भारत का नागरिक हो, वही उस विधानसभा की मतदाता सूची में पंजीकरण का पात्र है। इसी मूल उद्देश्य को पूर्ण करने के लिए निर्वाचन आयोग ने विशेष गहन पुनरीक्षण अर्थात स्पेशल इंटेंसिव रिवीजन अर्थात SIR की शुरुआत की, ताकि यह सुनिश्चित किया जा सके कि कोई भी पात्र मतदाता छूटे नहीं और कोई भी अपात्र मतदाता सूची में शामिल न हो।
In the 130th episode of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's monthly radio program Mann Ki Baat, the Prime Minister highlighted the power of collective action in building a better nation. He said that public participation is India's greatest strength. Prime Minister Modi also mentioned about modern trends such as bhajan clubbing and the large-scale tree planting initiative called Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam, showing how tradition and environment go hand in hand. Whenever the name of India is mentioned, the spirit and collective strength of its people automatically comes to the mind. Finding solutions to problems seems to be an inherent part of Indian character. In the 130th edition of Mann Ki Baat episode, Prime Minister Narendra Modi emphasized the power of small efforts in bringing a big change. Prime Minister also described public participation as India's greatest strength.
कुछ लोग समाज की सामूहिक शक्ति से रास्ता निकालने का प्रयास करते हैं। ऐसा ही एक प्रयास उत्तर प्रदेश के आजमगढ़ में सामने आया है। यहां से होकर गुजरने वाली तमसा नदी को लोगों ने नया जीवन दिया। आजमगढ़ हो, अनंतपुर हो या फिर देश की कोई और जगह, ये देखकर खुशी होती है कि लोग एकजुट होकर कर्तव्य भाव से बड़े संकल्प सिद्ध कर रहे हैं। जन भागीदारी और सामूहिकता की यही भावना हमारे देश की सबसे बड़ी ताकत है।
In his Mann Ki Baat program, Prime Minister spoke about a form of devotion that is centuries old but is now connecting with the younger generation in a new way. He said that bhajans and kirtans, once limited to the temples and religious discourses, are now becoming part of Gen Z lifestyle. From this has emerged a new cultural trend called bhajan clubbing.
देश के अलग-अलग शहरों में बड़ी संख्या में युवा इकट्ठा हो रहे हैं। मंच सजा होता है, रोशनी होती है, संगीत होता है, पूरा तामझाम होता है और माहौल किसी कॉन्सर्ट से जरा भी कम नहीं होता है। ऐसा ही लग रहा है कि जैसे कोई बहुत बड़ा कॉन्सर्ट हो रहा है, लेकिन वहां जो गाया जा रहा होता है वो पूरी तन्मयता के साथ, पूरी लगन के साथ, पूरे लय के साथ, भजन की गूंज। इस चलन को आज भजन क्लबिंग कहा जा रहा है और यह खास तौर पर जैन जी के बीच तेजी से लोकप्रिय हो रहा है।
The Prime Minister also presented the image of an India that remains connected to its culture, traditions and identity even beyond its borders. Praising the Indian diaspora, he said that Indian festivals and culture are being celebrated with pride and enthusiasm across the world, spreading the fragrance of India far beyond the national boundaries.
आज हमारी संस्कृति और त्योहार दुनिया भर में अपनी पहचान बना रहे हैं। दुनिया के हर कोने में भारत के त्योहार बड़े उत्साह और उल्लास के साथ मनाए जाते हैं। हर तरह की कल्चरल वाइब्रेंसी को बनाए रखने में हमारे भारतवंशी भाई बहनों का अहम योगदान है। वो जहां भी हैं वहां अपनी संस्कृति की मूल भावना को संरक्षित कर और उसे आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं।
Cleanliness and environmental protection are no longer just government schemes, they've become a commitment of the youth. Prime Minister praised such efforts that are making India cleaner and greener. He highlighted that crores of people have joined the Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam campaign.
पर्यावरण संरक्षण की यही भावना आज बड़े स्तर पर भी दिखाई दे रही है। इसी सोच के साथ देश भर में एक पेड़ मां के नाम अभियान चलाया जा रहा है। इस अभियान से आज करोड़ों लोग जुड़ चुके हैं। अब तक देश में 200 करोड़ से ज्यादा पेड़ लगाए भी जा चुके हैं। ये बताता है कि पर्यावरण संरक्षण को लेकर अब लोग ज्यादा जागरूक हैं और किसी न किसी रूप में अपना योगदान देना चाहते हैं।
Whether giving new life to a river, bringing water back to drought-hit regions, giving devotion a new expression, or planting a tree in a mother's name, the message of Mann Ki Baat is clear. Big change does not come from a single directive, but from millions of small commitments. And when every citizen embraces duty as their dharma, that is what it builds a new India, clean India, cultured India, and self-reliant India. Bureau Report, DD India. President Draupadi Murmu will address the nation on the eve of the 77th Republic Day. The address will be broadcast from 7 PM IST on the entire national network of Akashvani and telecast over all channels of Doordarshan in Hindi, followed by the English version. Broadcast of the address in Hindi and English on Doordarshan will be followed by the broadcast in regional languages by regional channels of Doordarshan. Highlighting growing cultural and commercial ties between India and the UAE, the Indian Business and Professional Council, or the IBPC, Dubai, in association with the India Club, celebrated India's 77th Republic Day with an open-air event in Dubai. Held at the India Club, the program blended patriotism with music and dance, including a tribute to Lata Mangeshkar by Malhar and performances set at patriotic themes. Consul General of India, Satish Sivan, highlighted stronger India-UAE engagement, noting bilateral trade is expected to cross $110 billion by March this year. IBPC Chairman Siddharth Balachandran and India Club Honorary Chairman Mohan Valrani emphasized institutional collaboration and shared community purpose. The event concluded with a vote of thanks by IBPC Secretary General Sahitya Chaturvedi. Time for a short break, but still to come on the other side. Final round of voting held in Myanmar. Search underway for dozens missing following a landslide in Indonesia. An Indian Coast Guard ships Varaha and Atulya arrive at Port of Colombo.
Every time I open my wardrobe, I wonder how many of these clothes do I actually need? So today, let's step into a world where our fashion does not have to come at the cost of the environment.
We make sure that we don't waste a single piece of clothing. We use up all the scraps as well, gathering them into balls and making different products with them.
Consumers think that if they don't buy it now, they're going to regret it tomorrow.
Instead of having a linear thing where you produce something that never degrades and then you just end up having it in the landfill, you biosource it, you use it, and then it biodegrades and gets back to nature.
We use natural dyes for the garments. We extract the dye the way our ancestors did by using natural products with some modifications.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India Live. Now update from the US. Heavy snow shrouded the White House early on Sunday morning as a powerful winter storm swept across much of the United States. Calling the storm historic, President Donald Trump approved federal emergency disaster declarations in South Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, Maryland, Arkansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Indiana, and West Virginia. More than 4,000 flights were cancelled in the US on Saturday ahead of a severe winter storm. Major US airlines also warned the passengers to stay on alert for abrupt flight changes and cancellations. Power cut has also left more than 230,000 customers without electricity. More than 150 million Americans were under some form of weather emergency notices from the National Weather Service.
In airports, I fly a lot, so in airports, there's always delayed flights, or sometimes I don't get the flight that day, I have to fly the next day, so I'm always prepared, especially when it's a weather condition. I've flown in Chicago when it snowed on. I'm not going to drive through it because I live in the South, I don't drive in the snow. So, but I'm prepared for it. I'm prepared to stay another night or do what I have to do to make sure I get to my destination.
The US National Weather Service warned of an unusually expansive and long-duration winter storm that will bring widespread heavy ice accumulation in the southeast US. In response to the severe conditions, President Trump has put an emergency declaration for 10 states, including Tennessee, Georgia, and North Carolina. The authorities have urged everyone to prioritize their safety, stay sheltered and warm. Now, Arkansas is among the states witnessing severe conditions as the storm system moves eastward. Live webcam visuals from Arkansas showed steady, wind-driven snowfall across open fields on Saturday night, January the 24th. Forecasters warned that snow, sleet and freezing rain could continue over the next few days, disrupting normal life across several states. Rescue teams in Indonesia have resumed search operations after a deadly landslide hit the Java island. Dozens remain missing as efforts now continue amid difficult conditions. Indonesian rescuers are searching for around 80 people still missing after a deadly landslide struck villages in the West Bantung region of Java early on Saturday. Triggered by heavy rainfall, the landslide swept through residential areas, burying homes and forcing dozens of residents to evacuate. Rescue operations were suspended overnight due to harsh weather conditions, but resumed as conditions improved. Myanmar's junta chief dismissed foreign criticism of the war-torn country's general election as a final round of voting that took place, with the military-backed party having secured a majority of seats in previous rounds. The previous two phases of the election marked low voter turnout of around 55%, well below the turnout of about 70% recorded in Myanmar's 2020 and 2015 general elections. Major opposition groups did not contest the polls. The United Nations Rights Group and the UK have denounced the polls as a sham exercise to perpetuate the military's hold. On to weather updates from the nation. Snowfall has eased in Himachal Pradesh, but normal life remains disrupted. Hundreds of roads are still blocked and power and water supply remains affected. Restoration work is underway as the Weather Office warns of fresh snowfall. A total of 683 roads, including 2 national highways, remain closed as tons of accumulated snow are being cleared using JCB machines working round the clock. Despite these efforts, more than 500 roads are yet to be restored. Power supply has been severely affected, with 5,775 electricity transformers out of service, while 126 water supply schemes remain disrupted. Meanwhile, the Jammu-Srinagar National Highway 44 continues to remain closed for the third consecutive day, with authorities working to resume traffic. The IMD has issued a yellow alert warning of fresh snowfall and rain over the next 2 days. Indian Navy's first training squadron concluded a successful port call at Bilawan in Indonesia, strengthening bilateral maritime cooperation. Indian Navy's first training squadron departed on the 23rd of January after a 3-day port call aimed at strengthening maritime engagement with Indonesia. Ships of the squadron undertook a range of engagements with the Indonesian Navy, including training visits and sports activities, fostering mutual understanding and goodwill. The visit reflects strong maritime ties between India and Indonesia. The Indian Coast Guard ships Varaha and Atulya arrived at the port of Colombo for an official visit and welcomed in accordance with the naval traditions by the Navy. The Indian Coast Guard ship Varaha is commanded by Commandant Ashwini Kumar, while the 50-meter length fast patrol vessel ICGS Atulya is under the command of Commandant Anit Kumar Mishra. In addition, the visiting ships are scheduled to participate in exercises with Sri Lanka Coast Guard. Further, this visit provides an opportunity to further enhance professional interaction between the Indian and Sri Lankan Coast Guards. Mumbai is taking a drive down the memory lane. The 3-day vintage car fiesta 2026 has begun at the World Trade Center in Mumbai, showcasing timeless classic cars with a special tribute to the iconic Rolls-Royce Phantom, drawing enthusiasts and collectors from across generations. Here's more.
With other classic cars, a special tribute to the Rolls-Royce Phantom marked the 3-day vintage car fiesta 2026, which began on Saturday at the World Trade Center, Mumbai. Decades-old stylish vehicles are now on display to thrill today's audience across age groups. The annual fiesta has been organized by the Vintage and Classic Car Club of India and Western Indian Automobile Association. According to the organizers, one of the head-turner Rolls-Royce Phantoms at this event was once owned by the erstwhile ruler of Jammu and Kashmir.
It's a 100 years old Rolls-Royce Phantom. And there are other cars that are 100 years old. We are happy these cars are here. This car belonged to Maharaja Hari Singh. There are cars from the palace of Queen Elizabeth II and Emir of Qatar, among other vehicles here.
The well-maintained cars from yesteryears have been a labor of love for the current owners, and there's perhaps something to be learned.
The owner of these cars are passionate about their vehicles. They maintain these cars with a lot of love, as if these are their children. We can learn from this. Look what happens to new cars these days. Yet the 100-year-old, 50-year-old cars here look like new cars.
Hosts of the car fiesta hope that a vintage car museum in Mumbai will be set up someday. For the moment though, the vintage car exhibition at the World Trade Center in upscale Cuff Parade is buzzing.
There's a demand for a museum in Mumbai. This 3-day event here is like a museum. We have been hosting this over 6 years and will continue to host this. The fiesta is connected with the corporate world. Like golf events, vintage cars also are connected with the corporate world. We are happy that the World Trade Center Mumbai is hosting this vintage car fiesta.
For enthusiasts and collectors, the old-world slickness of classic vehicles has been irresistible. With the centenarian Rolls-Royce Phantom, they're now reaching a milestone at the car fiesta in Mumbai.
American free solo climber Alex Honnold has pulled off another breathtaking feat. On Sunday, the 40-year-old climber scaled Taipei 101, which is the island's tallest building, without ropes, harnesses, or any safety gear. The daring ascent drew hundreds of spectators to the tower's space, while many more watched the climb unfold live on Netflix. Honnold, who rose to global fame in 2017 after his historic free solo climb in Yosemite National Park, is widely regarded as one of the world's greatest climbers. While others have climbed Taipei 101 before, Honnold is the first to conquer the 508-meter skyscraper completely free solo, cementing yet another milestone in extreme climbing history.
I mean, the crowd, having the whole experience, having all the people around, it just makes it feel a little more intense. And so I think starting felt, I was a little more nervous getting off the ground. And then as I climbed, I relaxed more and more. I was like, oh, this is so fun. I mean, this is why I do it. It was incredible.
And in sports, India is all set to face New Zealand in the third T20 International at Guwahati today, aiming to seal the 5-match series after taking a 2-0 lead. The hosts dominated the first 2 matches, winning by 48 runs in Nagpur and chasing 209 with ease in Raipur, and thanks to explosive knocks from Ishan Kishan and Suryakumar Yadav. With confidence high and batting depth on display, India looks set to continue their momentum ahead of the T20 World Cup. New Zealand, led by Mitchell Santner, will fight to stay alive in the series and avoid a clean sweep. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Deepika, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.